All right, Bulls and Bears, BX4 back in the building, back with another dose of economic reality. As always, please give us a like if you like what we talk about here on this channel. I'm out here today in front of the black swans. Why? Because black swans are everywhere. So much risk out there, they could really create an economic downturn in a snap of a finger. We've got enemies all across the globe now. When I say we, I'm talking about the United States. And that's the reason why we see all these countries going against the U.S. and the U.S. dollar, all the BRICS plus countries, and a lot of acts of aggression here happening as well, with the U.S. playing a major role in this. Russia expels UK diplomats, warning against deep strikes within Russia. We've got long-range weapons now that the U.S. is funding. It could possibly be fired into Russia. So that's going to, I think, cause some retaliation, folks. So be very, very careful. If you have too much money tied up in the system, I would be very cautious. I would have some preparations, food, water, emergency essentials, all those things as we go forward here. Today is the 20th as I'm recording this. So we're just about 10 days, folks, from October. The beginning of October, we're supposed to see new bank rules take effect. Will that stay in play, and will the banks be able to remain operational with having to have even a small percentage of reserves? But it's up from 0% that we've been seeing since 2020. Remember, the Emergency Bank Rescue Program has been in place up until now. And even now, it's a very low percentage that the banks are going to have to hold. So will they be held accountable when they don't have enough money? That's my question. We know that the overall U.S. consumer debt is about $18 trillion. And folks, when I hear people talk about the banks loaning out money, sometimes people refer to it as monopoly money, which meaning it's not backed by anything, it's just paper. It's even worse than that, folks. It's not just fiat paper, it's completely digital, right? They don't even have to have the dollar bills and coins anymore to loan it out, right? That's what you have when you have a zero reserve requirement. That's why it's so insane. That's why I have to keep coming back to that to remind people these are just digits on a screen, folks. Remember, we no longer have any metal backing, any physical, tangible backing of our currency ever since 1971 when we came off the gold standard. Nixon took us off that. So ever since then, at the click of a mouse, they can create out of thin air as much money as they want to. And think about this. You work your whole life and you won't make as much in your whole life. I think I could safe to say that all of us, including myself and everyone watching this, will not make in your entire life what they can create at the click of a mouse in a matter of seconds, right? Insane, but that's where we're at, folks. And that's why we see this runaway inflation. Money printer go burr. It's out of control. And if something doesn't change, and some people are even welcoming these things behind me in the water. They're welcoming the black swan because they think that's going to bring this entire financial system down. And some people think that it's going to be a good thing because ultimately we're going to go back to a better system. Of course, there's a chance that we don't. There's a chance that we get even more of what we've been seeing over the past few decades, is throwing more money on the problem or at the problem, more fuel on the fire, therefore more inflation, higher cost of living, and pretty soon everybody's going to be dependent on some sort of handout or living off a paycheck or living off the government, or everybody at some point. It seems like that's the direction that we're headed, of course, except the few upper top 1%. It's insane, folks. It doesn't stop here. But let's go ahead and get into the news here. Financial, economic news. You guys aren't going to believe what Janet Yellen said. We know that these people, the talking heads, the financial quote-unquote experts that have been wrong on pretty much everything from inflation to how to fix the cost of living, how to help people. It's always the opposite, right? Look what Janet Yellen said here. And she said this about rate cuts here. Do a screen share. Folks, she came out and said rate cuts are a positive sign for the economy. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised But at the same time, how many people out there actually believe that it's positive when we're doing rate cuts? Folks, this is the Treasury Secretary out there telling us this, right? How scary is that? How scary is it that the Treasury Secretary is out there giving us a load of BS like this? Folks, it doesn't stop. Folks, I want you to think about this. If rate cuts were good for the economy, or a positive sign rather, then how come every time there's an economic downturn, we cut rates? Right? If rate cuts were a positive sign, wouldn't we be raising rates every time there's an economic downturn? Folks, it doesn't make any sense. This is insane that these people have a job still. How can you be so wrong and say so many things that are the opposite of reality and still have a job, folks? It's unbelievable. What do you think about that? Please let me know down below. All right, some other things to get into today. U.S. home sales dropped again, and this is despite higher inventory. We talked, 1 or 2 episodes ago about how the inventory is the highest it's been since early 2020, right? So almost 4.5-year high in home inventory. And you would think with the rates dropping from over 7% now down to the low 6% range for mortgage rates that buyers would be coming right back in, right? They're not. Even with all the down payment assistance programs, they're not. Home sales dropped again. Sorry, I had the article pulled up here, and they put this wall in front of me. Wanted me to subscribe, so I had to reload it. Sorry about the wait on that here. August home sales dropped more than expected, but yet prices set a new record. Now, if you look at the Fed chart, it didn't set a new record. But if you believe, in this case, what are they quoting here? Zillow. So the median price of an existing home sold in August was $416,700, up 3.1% from August 2023. But yet home sales were lower in August versus the same month a year ago, about 4.3% lower, folks. So this tells you, and this should show you, why we need all these down payment assistance programs. Buyers, for the most part, are tapped out and they cannot qualify for the mortgage. And even if they did qualify for the mortgage, I think people are afraid to take on these big mortgages with the cost of upkeep, the cost of repairing the home, utilities, insurance. Insurance is really, really biting a lot of people. So there's going to have to be some very big, more programs to try to keep this, or I shouldn't say keep, to try to get this housing market unstuck or unfrozen. So please let me know what you think about that one down in comments. And do you want more proof that we're in an economic downturn already? Here's out of IT News. Over 80% of Americans do not have any emergency savings, according to a new cashable State of Consumer Finance report. And in that same report, says here 81% actually didn't have any emergency savings, zero. Over 36% of respondents cited inflation as a major stress factor and uncertainty, and 89% of respondents feel that inflation has impacted their finances. That goes right along, 89%, close to 90%. That goes right along with the top 10% that are doing better than ever. So when you look at it, according to this survey, it's even worse than the whole 70% living paycheck to paycheck. It's the top 10% are doing better than ever. The bottom 90% are at least close to it, 89% according to this survey, doing worse, feeling that inflation has had a negative impact on their life. Over 80%, zero emergency savings. And now you know why people just have to go further into debt. And that's why you know the banks, starting in October, having to have reserves could be very, very big thing. Now, might not fall apart exactly on October 1st. Could take a little while to play out. I don't think we're going to get very far. I've said here that I think before the end of the year, we're going to see something big happen, likely in October, but definitely before the end of the year. My opinion on that, Black Swan's back here. What will it be? Active war, new banking regulations bringing the banks down. And some people say it's a nothing burger. Some people say even if the banks do go down, it's just going to be temporary. that they're just going to be picked back up. So instead of a TKO where the fighter falls down and stays down, they count to 10 and he's out, TKO, he's just going to get lifted back up with endless liquidity injections created out of thin air, bailouts to infinity, nonstop life support, right? Pick your poison or pick your term to describe this. Will the banks be propped up no matter what? Will they just create more debt? They created 35 trillion. They can create 35 trillion more. Right? There's no limit. That's the whole thing about the system of money right now. It's insane, folks. Where does it end? So let's move on here. A couple other topics I wanted to get caught up on today. Tupperware, the plastic dishes with the lids, Tupperware. Financial problems, filing bankruptcy. Out of AP here, Tupperware lifts the lid, lifts the lid on its financial problems with bankruptcy filing. Folks, I have some of these plastic bowls for storage and stuff like that. Try to use glass because plastic's not the best. But the ones I get are from the Dollar Trees, and so I could see why Tupperware may be having a hard time. Another sign, folks, that people are, I guess you could say, downgrading. Instead of buying Tupperware, I guess like myself, I get these plastic dishes at the Dollar Tree, the dollar store, and I think millions of people are also doing that. So you're seeing the more expensive items have big trouble. I was in the mall the other day, my local mall here. Well, I guess I have two local malls. One is in my city, La Mesa, which is kind of an outdoor mall, Grossmont Center. And then there's one over in El Cajon, which is just a couple miles from me. It's an indoor mall. And a lot of the high-end stores are closed down. Macy's, I guess you could call that high-end. What's the other store? Abercrombie and Fitch, closed. And I walked through there and I counted 17 vacant stores in that mall over in El Cajon. So you can see what's happening with people spending money. And some people will say, oh, it's all because people are shopping online. Folks, people have been shopping online for 20 plus years, and the coffee shop closed down in the same mall. Are people buying coffee online? I'm talking about hot coffee that you could drink right now. Of course, they're buying, getting beans shipped to them, stuff like that, ground coffee. I'm talking about hot, instant coffee. Online, folks, doesn't make people stop going to Starbucks here. So let me know what you think about this, folks. I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me know what Janet Yellen said. The reason I have to wrap it up is because my computer is acting very strange. And that's where I do my video editing, stuff like this, so I can do the backgrounds. So get this. My computer was going great. I put down that I do not want any updates. I went to the system menu, put down do not do any updates because I've had bad luck with updates on my computer. I had a printer one time where it worked fine. Then all of a sudden an update came in that I didn't want and the printer stopped working. So now my computer is running really slow after this update. Are you guys seeing any problems with your computer? I put down no updates. I went to the services menu and put disable updates. They overrode it. I'm talking about I guess Microsoft would be the one if I'm running Windows. And now my computer's running like junk. Right, so I got to fix that. So I'm going to cut this a little bit short today. Everybody, thanks for watching. What do you think about this? Yellen's comments. That rate cuts are a positive sign, folks. I would laugh, but it's just so sad. I almost I want to laugh, but then I probably shouldn't because it's just so sad that so many people still believe this nonsense. I'm glad you don't. I don't. We're on top of it. Ahead of the financial curve. Please make sure you're subscribed. Big news coming out tomorrow. Make sure you're here for that one. Subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Talk to you very soon, everybody. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.